Greetings.
Welcome back to another Normal to Nomad podcast.
Today we talk about minimalism and we answer the question, have you guys become maximalists now?
Oh boy.
It's pretty riveting.
Actually, this question was commented on our last podcast episode. So thank you for the suggestion on this topic. If ever any of you have any topic suggestions, leave them in the comments below.
We are going to run through some of our favorite minimalist-oriented items, how to minimize, generally speaking, and a bunch of things around the minimalist ethos.
So, are we maximalists?
I don't think so. It's different now that we have land and we're far away from stores and everything, because I think the main thing that I stocked up on is tools. You roll your eyes.
I didn't roll my eyes at all. You do you, boy.
That and then gear for adventurous things. But we've always kind of had that. The big kind of superfluous thing that we have right now is the rad power bikes. They're awesome.
The kayaks and the backpacks. All these things, though, we work with a lot of outdoor gear brands, and now that we've had space, we've been able to have better, stronger partnerships with these brands, and hopefully we can use all of this outdoor gear for experiences that we'd like to host in the future.
I mean, the backpacks, like the Kafaru stuff, we use very frequently. The kayaks I would like to use more, but when we first got those, we used those nearly every day for months. Mm-hmm. They were awesome, and they're still in great shape.
We have more backpacks than just the Kafaru packs. We have all the packs that we had originally.
All of our Osprey packs.
Which are great packs. So we've got close to 10 backpacks.
Which is stupid.
But they're all great, really great packs for different uses.
And we kind of store all the gear.
This goes totally against
minimalism.
Being a minimalist.
Well, I mean, this is our maximalistness that we're admitting that we have a problem. We're backpack collectors.
But people have been commenting just kind of sour comments about us being maximalists now that we have stuff. And it's a little hilarious because
our house is still 10 feet long.
Yeah, we're still living in our trailer, and now we have a teeny tiny, 6-foot storage shed to hold our outdoor gear. And
getting into hunting, I think I had to buy gear for that, but it's not a crazy amount of stuff. We could get rid of a couple of our Osprey backpacks probably, but we also use them to store, all of our climbing gear is in one of them. Mm-hmm. All of our kayaking gear is in one of them. So that way we can just grab whatever pack we need for whatever activity, and then we can leave the stuff in said pack to store it.
It is easy to collect gear. And of all the things that we have in excess, I am excited that it is stuff to get us outside.
Yeah. Yeah, so guilty as charged, I guess. But I don't know. What other things do you think that we have that are superfluous or extra? What?
I don't want to hear it.
Oh, I wasn't even going to attack you. But now that you have the opportunity to speak here.
I definitely have my crafting under control. How am I supposed to express myself if I can't have...
Under control is how I would describe your crafting for sure. I'm not blaming you. It's just that it's overwhelming sometimes. Now that your blanket's done, our blanket is done, our family's blanket, it's a lot more manageable. That thing was about to drive me nuts, though.
Yarn is not an ideal craft because it's so bulky.
Yeah.
But look at it now.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I got into beadwork specifically because it was so tiny.
Yeah. Your beadwork was awesome.
Yeah. And then leatherwork, that tied into wanting to get into...
Yeah.
What?
What? I'm just playing.
I want to be able to tan our own hides and everything. Deer hides. So to be able to use that leather, know how to use it, I got into leather crafting for a bit. Now I'm getting into metal smithing, and I have taken great time to organize this wall over here. Maybe I'll put a shot on the YouTube video. It's beautiful.
It's awesome.
It's Casey Neistat aesthetic. Yeah. I don't know. as a crafty, creative person, it's hard. I know all of you have seen craft people's rooms and desks and stuff.
Their room just looks like a scrapbook.
Yes, and I am one of those people, but I have done it in a very minimalist fashion, and I don't know how to. You want me to be less of myself?
Oh, please.
Because that's kind of how it feels.
Well, if less of yourself means just occasionally cleaning up after yourself, then maybe, I guess.
Okay, let's talk about something
it's
else.
not bad. I'm in full
topic.
support of your. We just like I said it when we were building this office that this is what was going to happen. It was going to become a crafting office.
Duh.
So we should have just factored in that we need to build 2 offices.
Barron, I told you that.
I know.
I told you.
Yeah, but this was like kind of a thing to build. So for this to just be.
I said we should have gotten 2 of these containers.
Yeah.
Then we could both have our own space.
You were right. I was just optimistic, I guess. So, moving on. What were we even talking about? Just the things that we might have too much of. The things that I might have too much of.
Saws,
please. Yeah, maybe. No, you could make that argument, but I've used all of them and will continue to use all of them as we go forward.
screws. There's so many screws.
We really don't. We use them, I use them all the time. I bought more screws because I found myself needing screws of various lengths very often. So I figured might as well just buy them so I don't have to drive an hour to the hardware store every time.
Shoes.
Some of us could put some of our shoes away for sure.
No, Barron, you have too many shoes.
No, I don't. What shoes do I have too many of?
I don't know.
Which pair of my shoes are extra?
Tennis shoes.
Which ones?
Got a few pairs of tennis shoes.
I have 2. I have a pair of running shoes. And this is important to go through. This is what it looks like to minimize as a couple, right? So I have my running shoes and my mountain biking shoes that I also use for all kinds of other things.
Okay, I take it back. I don't want to talk about your shoes.
Okay.
There's too many of them.
Great points. I do kind of want to talk about your shoes. I'm just kidding. Okay. So are we maximalists? Well, some may say yes, but I think still no compared to typical humans, right?
I mean, of course.
Yeah. There are certain things that we could trim down, but they're also very useful, so it's hard to... I don't know. I don't feel like we're in a state of excess when all of our things are like put away nicely, for sure.
We do have a lot of must-haves. And it was kind of hard to think of our must-haves. That was part of this gal's question, was what are our must-have essential items? But everything that we have in the Scamp, when we were still traveling especially, we've gained a lot more tools and a lot more craft supplies, each of us, since living on our land. But really everything that we had with us in the Scamp was essential and still is essential. Everything inside the Scamp. Things like... I think most important to us would be our laptops and tech devices, because that is our work. That's our office in a backpack, and high quality backpacks to be able to hold and sort hard drives, headphones, microphones.
Let's talk quick about those specific items as we go through, like your backpack and your laptop. You want to?
What do you want me to expand on more of?
Just what laptop you have and why do you have a laptop over an iPad, since you are an artist and you draw and everything? Why would you choose, if you had to choose between the two, would you have a tablet or a laptop?
I would say my laptop, because my art is video editing. I did try to start doing I was doing graphic design work on my iPad when we first started in the Scamp, because we didn't have enough solar power to charge my laptop, but charging the iPads was it's like charging a big phone. So that was really useful. And then we kind of almost started to edit videos on the iPad, but it's just a lot more efficient on the laptop. And then we
efficient time-wise.
Yes.
But part of the
yes.
reason that we were trying to lean on our iPads more was for solar, because they're so efficient energy usage-wise. And I think there are people online that do everything on their iPad, like YouTubers and stuff, that have kind of they've made that their thing. And I think it's really cool. And we could do that. I just feel like since we are so tech focused, our productivity is a lot faster on the Macs, and there are less like hurdles to jump over. Why do you have a Mac over a PC?
I edited on a PC for a long time when we were living in a house, but I think Apple is just so intuitive. Even editing Premiere on an Apple feels much better than editing in Premiere on a PC. It's just smooth. The ecosystem of Apple between phones, iPads, the laptops, AirPods, the watches, everything, it's so seamless. It's so intuitive. It just feels really natural and flowy. And people who don't understand the benefit of Apple, I think, have not really used Apple. And I think that's fair because Android users and PC users, there are so many benefits to those over Apple. But in terms of creativity and just kind of having more of a creative right brain and doing more artistic stuff, it all just really flows nicely on Apple.
Even from a business perspective, once I got a Mac, my abilities scaled like crazy. There were just a lot of things that I could do a lot quicker on my Mac that were more difficult on my PCs. And they last forever too.
The finger movements on the touchpad, I don't know, I haven't used a PC laptop in a long time, but everything it's so smooth.
The gestures.
There's not a bunch of movements and clicks. It doesn't feel so mechanical like a PC.
Yeah.
So that's why.
And there's a lot of software that we use that's exclusively available on Macs. But I built my own PCs for like what?
Yeah.
Over 10, 15 years.
And that's what I was editing on, was one of your computers.
And if you need more power, like rather than buying, let's say, if you're like rendering crazy 3D stuff or whatever, and you need a lot of processing power, financially it might make more sense to build yourself a PC.
Because you were gaming.
Yeah.
Right?
And for a gaming rig, then I could and Apple's, they're trying to get into the gaming world. But with a PC, I could buy my motherboard and everything. And then over time, if I needed a new graphics card or whatever, more RAM, I could just buy that and stick it in. So I didn't have to replace the whole unit, which was really nice. And then Connor and I would kind of like, and my friends, if one of us got a new memory card or not memory card, but graphics card, we could swap things. What are you doing?
I was looking at our backpacks to see if I could think of anything else. Our backpacks themselves are really great.
It would be fun to do a video of like what we keep in our backpacks.
You have wanted to do that for so long.
Yeah, just because I love those videos when other people do them because it gives me ideas and inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Same with our car. I would love to do like tools and things that we keep in our car because I've put a lot of thought into it.
Mm-hmm. How you organize.
Yeah, because I watch a lot of like everyday carry style videos and stuff to like optimize the things that we have. Because that's part of the minimalist ethos for us is having quality over quantity. So if I can have one tool to replace multiple and pay a little bit more for that one tool, then we will. Like there's a pair of adjustable locking pliers that I can replace a number of crescent wrenches and stuff with, and those have been really nice to have.
You have a Thule backpack.
I do. I think it's a Thule Paramount 25, and I've had it for almost probably pushing 10 years now.
Maybe like 6.
No, you always do this, and then I look back at photos and I've had the thing for like forever.
You got it a few years after we started dating when you were working downtown. So that could have been, maybe 8, 9.
Yeah, which is like pushing 10. We're coming up on a decade and 9 years, babe. But I'm super impressed with that backpack. All of the Thule stuff I've ever had, or Tula, or Tool, or Thule, whatever, the Swedish company, everything I've ever had that's what?
My backpack is also Swedish.
Oh, yeah. But everything I've ever had that's made by them has lasted forever. And they generally have a really good warranty, too. But yeah, I've used that backpack every day very heavily, and it's still holding together really well.
Customizable with how you can stuff it full of clothes in the top,
Yeah,
or
it's got a
roll the
roll
top
top.
down.
So I can roll the top down and strap it down, and then it keeps it super streamlined. And then if we're going on vacation or whatever, and I need for a few days, and I just need some clothes, I'll just unroll the top and stuff some clothes in there, and then I'm good to go.
And that's excellent. An excellent kind of minimalist principle is to have things that can be utilized for more than one purpose. And that backpack you have used quite a lot for all different kinds of things.
Yeah, anytime we travel, I always bring it.
I have a Fjallraven backpack, not the Konkin, the square ones, but one that's one of their laptop backpacks that I got on sale. And I love it. I love having a bunch of pockets because then everything that you have has a home, and then I don't lose stuff. So, well, at least I do. But having everything have a home is really helpful. Helps me lose stuff less.
Yeah, and what I'll do too is, if like in the main compartment of my backpack that doesn't have a lot of organizer pockets, I'll get organizer pockets and put them into my backpack.
Like that.
Like this guy. It's like I can't remember what it's called, but it's a little organizer guy that I keep my journal and a spare fork and adapters and some duct tape and just general odds and ends that
That's by
I
Thule
find
too.
myself needing. Yeah. But that, and then I have little bags in my backpack too to keep things organized. Let's see.
What other essentials?
So I have a Mac as well, and like you said, all the same reasons I love my Mac, and I can't imagine ever switching back. But one of the things I like most about I've had two Macs, and the one that I had before this I got in 2012, and I just replaced it like last year. So I had it for like 8-9 years, something like that, and used it every day. And I just had to replace the battery once, and then I gave it to my brother, and he and his girlfriend still use it. So I just love the longevity of Mac's laptops. I think they're awesome. But I wouldn't buy, it's just like buying cars or whatever. I wouldn't buy the first generation of a new model. So if they do like a big facelift and change a bunch of things, I would wait at least a half a year or something for them to work out the kinks in that new model, because a lot of times they do have problems as soon as they come out of the factory brand new.
So obviously laptops are very essential to us.
Yeah. And I think phones too, because we use those for everything from a personal hotspot to cameras. A lot of our videos are shot on the phones whenever we just need a quick shot, or even more thorough, like this is being shot on an iPhone right now.
I feel like the tech ones, like computer and laptop, are so obvious that they're kind of boring to talk about because most people have laptops and iPads, that I feel like it's essential to most people, but maybe they're not.
I think a lot of people kind of poo-poo technology and think that technology is just all bad. But since it is so useful, I think it's like flippant not to make use of all the things that technology can do. You know?
I think so. Technology is the reason that we are able to do any of this.
Are you going somewhere?
No, my pants are the next essential. These Fjallraven pants, both of us have like three pairs apiece.
That we've collected over the last number of years.
And will we talk about our clothing pieces later?
Well, let's talk about like clothing generally speaking later, so we can just like leave it at that. Mm-hmm. Our Fjallraven pants are awesome. They have tons of pockets. Warranty's excellent.
Berkey water filters are really, really huge. It's kind of a one and done thing. They're pretty expensive, but the filters last like 5 years, and having clean drinking water is really important to us.
And it helped us to be able to be out in the sticks for longer. Mm-hmm. Because if we parked, not even near a creek necessarily, we would drive several miles to a creek sometimes and fill up all of our jugs, and then we can just pour them into the water filter as we go. So that was really nice. Rather than having to like filter all the water at the creek, that would be kind of difficult. So we can just bring it home dirty and then pour it into the Berkey and use it.
I would say my most used thing every day, I do use the Berkey every day, but my number one most used essential thing that I have is my teeny little Swiss Army knife on my keys that I've had since I was probably 10. It was a gift, and I didn't use it that whole time. Just when we moved into the Scamp, you're always kind of needing a little pair of scissors to cut little things, or the nail thing cleaner in there. Of course, I'm trying to keep my nails as clean as I can out here. They're just mostly to have a teeny little knife and a teeny little pair of scissors on you at all times is so handy.
The toothpick and tweezers are super clutch.
Oh, that, yes, true.
And I bought on Amazon, they had, you could buy like a 10 or 20 pack of toothpicks and tweezers. And I went ahead and did that because it always drives me nuts whenever I lose them.
Because we didn't have them for so long that I forgot that that's even part of the Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, so now if we ever lose them, we can just swap them out. But yeah, we both have one of those on our keys. I think that's essential for sure.
Headlamps are something that we, in our nomadic Scamp lifestyle, use daily as well. If you're trying to be a minimalist in the city, I hadn't really used headlamps except for camping before
I
this.
always did for fixing things or working in the garage or even going outside or walking the dog at night.
I never had before I met you. I'd never used a headlamp. I remember our first camping trip, I just thought I looked like such a goonball with a headlamp on. But now they are a daily thing for us.
Yeah. Now, though, too, a lot of people in their everyday carry will carry a little flashlight, like a high-powered little flashlight in their pocket and a fixed blade or folding knife. And I feel like I get more use. I used to carry a folding knife in my pocket, like a Benchmade. I still have it. I used to carry that every day. But I found that little Swiss Army knife on my keys is more useful, generally speaking, than the knife is. So I carry that instead. And then, what was I just saying? The little flashlight. And now I find that I just use my phone's flashlight. Mm-hmm. Or my watch has like doable flashlight if I just need to go pee or whatever.
That is the smartest thing ever. You remember back in the day when, I don't know, at night you had to go run through your junk drawer to try to find a flashlight to go do something, but now everybody carries a flashlight with them everywhere. Yeah. It's so handy.
And then, yeah, so to augment that, having a headlamp is really nice. Insulated mugs.
Mugs, canteens, those are something that we use daily. It's just so nice to have an insulated mug for teas, especially in the winter. But if you're going on camping trips, we have had the same clean canteen, which is like clean canteens aren't really sold as much as hydro flasks, right?
I don't know. It seems like hydro flasks kind of replace them almost. Mm-hmm.
But same. We have had the same one for years and years and years. That was you working at that gear shop.
At Backwoods, yeah. We all had them. I remember the first time you discovered how nice it was. We were at Horseshoe Canyon Ranch in Arkansas.
I just gained so much life experience by meeting you. All these things that I never knew about. But
like headlamps and insulated water bottles.
Yeah, we were out camping on a climbing trip, and we'd poured hot chocolate into this mug, and any other regular mug, it would be cold chocolate at that time, hours later, but it was still warm.
Steaming hot.
It wasn't hot. It was perfect. Warm, like chuggable temperature, hours later. And it blew my mind. And now everybody, now it's so common. I don't know where I was. Who was I? Not having any idea what that was. Water bottles are kind of in that same vein. It's so funny how in high school I just never, ever carried a water bottle.
I have the smaller Nalgene that has the narrow mouth on it because I think it's easier to drink out of. And I like having the little one because then I can put it in a pocket, like my jacket pockets and stuff. It fits in drink holders. And you
like the narrow mouth.
Yeah.
We also have the classic Nalgenes. These are so handy to fill with multiple, or with, we throw a big one of these, like most people, into a backpack and have this as our spare water.
We try to keep at least one in the car too, especially during the winter, just a full water bottle in case of we get stuck or whatever.
It's just a nice lightweight water vessel.
Yeah, and they're super durable. Puffy jackets. I think that's honestly higher on my list.
It's another thing that I didn't ever have until you.
I waited a long time to have a puffy because I thought they were goofy looking. But once I had one, I never take them off in the winter, especially in Kansas City. I wore it all the time.
But in Kansas City, I realized later after leaving Kansas City that I and a lot of my peers, you dressed more for style than for function because there's not, in the city, there's not much to do outside, especially in the winter. You're just kind of dressing to look cute to walk from your car to your office kind of thing. Do you agree?
Yeah.
So
it's very stylish for that.
So technical gear wasn't something that was really in my sphere because you're not using it very much in Kansas City.
Although
maybe
it's
shifted,
like
but
colder there than it is here almost. So it would have made a lot more sense to wear that more technical gear because it sucked to be outside.
We came out to Colorado and we started getting slowly higher quality pieces of gear from thrift stores and stuff. And it just improved my winter experience tenfold by having a puffy jacket and nice pants to be able to spend more time outside.
If you don't know what we're talking about puffies. The ones that we use are down. They're down filled. And I had my last one for how long, Elsa? Elsa knows.
10 years. Probably 9.
Probably 9, maybe 8. But I patched it up with duct tape and Gear Aid. I think it's Gear Aid makes patches and a sort of fabric. It's almost like athletic tape but more durable to repair jackets and stuff. And that's something I always keep. I just bought some new Gore-Tex patches and just simple Gear Aid patches. But to keep your puffy alive, those are really nice to have. But yeah, I had mine and repaired it over and over again for pushing 10 years, and I accidentally left it at a restaurant and it got stolen. So I got a new one.
I don't know why anybody would steal it at that point. It's lost so much of its down.
Yeah.
You were just keeping it really because it was so sentimental.
Yeah, and like it still had life for me, but I can't imagine somebody else wearing that and being like, this is cool, because it was so gnarly.
Merino wool is another huge element to minimalism. I think it's a great fabric that helps you eliminate a lot of other fabrics in your wardrobe. One merino t-shirt can replace however many cotton t-shirts that you want it to replace.
That's kind of the same thing with a puffy too. You have one ultra warm jacket rather than having a bunch of kind of crappy stylish jackets.
For sure. Quantity.
So it may sound like
quality.
Yeah, it might sound like we're trying to make you guys buy a bunch of stuff, but that's not at all our angle. It's just figuring out the quality things, like you said, that make sense, so that you don't have to have a bunch of things.
What kind of things did you think that we needed that we ended up not needing? There were certain things when we first moved into the Scamp, like our sink. I thought that was going to be pretty important. Running water. I quickly learned, I had surrendered to the idea of not having running water, and that was pretty easy. But it did still seem like we were going to want to have a sink so that water could at least be channeled somewhere. And we only really used that to brush our teeth in, and then it became just a pain to keep it clean.
Mm-hmm.
So we used it as storage for a while and then got rid of it.
That was the first thing that came to my mind too, was running
sink?
water and sink, oh. Yeah. But what else? I thought a shower would be more necessary than it has been, but we can just shower off in creeks and stuff, and
or use a water bottle. It's so easy to just fill a bowl of water and get yourself a little wet, soap up, then rinse yourself off. It makes a huge difference.
Or
camping
like
trips,
Reed, he uses gallon jugs and just warms them up and pours one.
If I were a guy, or a guy with short hair, I should say, or if I was a person with short hair, I think it would be a lot easier to do things like that.
Yeah.
But when you have to wash your long hair, it takes a lot more water.
The MSR dromedary bladders are also really useful as a shower. I love that thing. So I can just hang it up in a tree, and it has cordage around it. So I can hang it up so that it sort of faces the spout down. And it's like a good amount of drip to where I can get myself wet, lather up, and then plug it, and then rinse off. And it's super efficient because it hardly uses any water. So, yeah, but I thought a shower would be more essential than it ended up being. A toilet too, But if you're in an area where, like if you're in a more popular area, generally like lots and lots of times they have vault toilets. And we've camped in plenty of areas where there was a vault toilet that we would ride our mountain bikes to whenever we needed to use it.
Yeah, that happened all the time.
Yeah.
There were always toilets around, or when we were in neater, more kind of or what word am I thinking? Just more popular areas.
And then as we got to more and more remote areas, then you could dig cat holes. But whenever we dig cat holes, we have a really good shovel. It's a hori design. It's like a Japanese trowel. And I think that's important to be able to really be able to dig, because a lot of times when you got to poop, you're digging pretty fast, and I've seen people get pretty lazy. So to have a shovel that can actually move some dirt is important. And then also, whenever we do that, we burn our TP in the hole if we can't take it out, pack it out with us.
Bring a lighter.
Yeah.
I have a whole kit, a whole thing and system for cat holes, including the butt spray that you spray on your TP to give yourself basically a baby wipe without having a baby wipe. Bidet in a bottle is what, yes, it was named. But yeah, we don't talk about that too much because I think there is a lot that goes into digging a proper cat hole, doing it in a proper way, in a proper area.
A lot of people just do it so poorly that we don't want to encourage it at all.
Yes, it's arguable to say that maybe we should, so that we can tell people how to do it well. But yeah, bringing attention to it, I think.
There's just so much nuance that it's hard to cover all of the potential pitfalls, because then you leave something out and it's like, you didn't say to be however many feet from water. And it's like, well, just be really far from water. Just like walk far away from it, you know? There's lots of, I don't know. But a lot of people just grab a hole and flip it and poop under it, and I think that's problematic.
Grab a rock, you mean?
Yeah, grab a hole, grab a rock.
So back to minimalism, how would you say that somebody might start, like we're talking us back in the city, how did we start eliminating our things? And would you say, did you have a lot of things?
I don't think I did. I've never really collected a bunch of crap.
And you were young enough to not have bought much furniture.
Yeah.
You had a bunch of money in computer stuff.
Yeah.
But you didn't have decorations, a bed.
Yeah, no.
We moved into our first house, and it was a family friend owned house. And did she leave some furniture, or did we get thrifted furniture?
Where did we get that red couch? Remember that?
Was it the red chair?
Oh, we had a red chair. We had like a leather
thrifted.
couch that we got somewhere.
Yeah. I don't recall.
Oh, my parents gave it to us, I think.
And our bed that we had. I guess I don't recall.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's everybody's like first step in moving into your college apartment or whatever, is buying thrifted furniture. What did we do with that when we moved?
I think we gave it away. I'm sure Connor
Donated.
took some of it, and then we probably donated some of it. But so we had a question on here asking, like, was that process difficult? Like minimizing and getting rid of things? What do you think?
No, because we did it over a lot of years.
Like every time we moved, we would get rid of more stuff.
Some people I think they come up with the idea to get rid of stuff and become more minimal, and then they sort through all their stuff in that instant, doing like a pile thing. Marie Kondo has a bunch of advice on how to get rid of stuff, but we had the idea to live minimally and live in a tiny space for several years before we did it. So every time we would move, like we moved from that house into a 1-bedroom space. In everything that we owned, we moved into 1 bedroom. And then from there, we moved into the Scamp. And I think we were at our parents' for a little bit in between sometimes, but we knew what we were working toward. So every time we would make a big move like that, we would get rid of more and more stuff.
And we got more strategic in the things that we bought too.
For sure.
And I think that's a big mental shift, is not buying like crap, like junky whatever, just to fill up a space, or decorations and all that stuff, knowing that you're trying to
Yeah, you have
cut
to
down on all
stop
the
bringing
things.
stuff in. If you want to have less stuff in your life, you got to stop bringing stuff in. Decoration seems to be a really easy way to even like little cute storage containers. As I walk through Walmart and stuff, if I had a Target, I'm sure Target would be very tempting. But you just, I don't know, you think that will help assist you in your life. But what I try to think of is first, I have it easy because we can't fit anything in the Scamp. So it's just like, well, that won't fit. So nope. But if I did have a space, realizing and understanding that I am then responsible for that item, I will have to see it through its life. So do I want that? Do I want to have that forever? Do I want to figure out donating it, or do I don't know. You just have to kind of take responsibility for the things that you're bringing in. And we would say that the first thing we did when getting rid of stuff was give to other people that we know.
Even things that are expensive or like really nice. It's nice to think about which friend might be able to make the best use of that thing and then give it to that friend.
Because then it doesn't fully leave your life.
Yeah.
If you see them wearing a really nice shirt of yours that you've loved for so long but don't wear anymore, it kind of brings new life to that item. Plants, when we go over to friends' houses in Kansas City, we'll see some of our old plants, and that is really a nice thing.
And then once you give away a lot of things, because it's hard, you can, well, I guess it depends. Like either give away or sell first. But I've always struggled with selling things like that, like listing things on Craigslist and or selling old paintball guns back in the day and stuff. I just like am not good at like haggling and getting that all set up, and just the whole thing, just it's not something that I'm good at. I have friends that were excellent at that, but I've just never been a good, I guess, thrifter when you're selling things or whatever. But selling things, giving things away is step one. Step two is donating them, right? So if you can donate things to a Goodwill or different shelters, things like that, do that. And then lastly, and try to not, but throw things away.
Yeah, I think that's hard with all the kind of dollar store little stuff that isn't valuable to other people. What do you do?
Well, it just kind of sucks. Like, I think part of it is for an amount, like for a time, at least don't be accumulating those things. Because I feel like we didn't have a lot of crap that we just threw away that I can think of.
I feel like we would only throw things away if it was broken or couldn't serve a purpose anywhere, or like a donation place wouldn't accept it.
Yeah.
Like dishes that had giant chips taken out of them or something like that.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think that getting rid of things was especially difficult. I honestly enjoy it because clutter drives me nuts. So to be able to get rid of things that we don't need or give them away and then be able to save up and have the one thing that I really need is, I prefer that. I
kind of struggle with that whole thing that if I get rid of it, that I'm going to need it after I've gotten rid of it.
Yeah, because you were in a depression in your past life. So
yeah.
That's something that we...
Well, I think that's a common way of looking at stuff is you kind of have a tendency to collect and hoard because you want to know that you almost like just preparing for emergency. I think I have really noticed that I do that, and I've worked on it quite a bit. But that's hard to get over.
Yeah, it is.
Because then if I don't have it and I need it, it'd be easy enough to just go find it again, go buy it again or something.
Or buy a used one or whatever.
Yeah, it happens so infrequently that you've got this one completely random object that you might need next year.
That was me with tools for a while in the Scamp. It was like, well, but then what I realized, especially with traveling and being in the Scamp, is a lot of the tools that I kept for just in case scenarios, if they weren't something that would like save our life or keep us on the road or keep things from, like if something broke that I could fix it, like if they weren't ultra pertinent, time sensitive things to have, I realized that while we're on the road, if I end up needing that tool, then I can go purchase whichever one makes the most sense rather than trying to keep all of the tools on us that like preemptively. I think it's almost better to, keep the essentials so that you can keep yourself moving or save your life, whatever. But the things that are kind of you're kind of talking yourself into or out of keeping as far as tools go, if you do end up needing them, you can scoop them up while you're on the road.
For sure. And I feel like you learned more about all of these tools as we were living this way, kind of putting them to practice and then realizing that, that this isn't actually as important as I thought.
Or this, like, I could use all the time.
So that was definitely, I would say, trial and error too. The one thing that really seems to be, when we talk to people, the hardest is sentimental items. And I didn't have any family heirlooms or really jewelry or treasures or nice art passed down to me. I have a piano waiting for me at my parents' house, but that's really about it. We didn't have much sentimental stuff.
I feel like I'm not a super sentimental person as far as things go. Like, I'm sentimental with the relationships I had with my grandparents and stuff, but it's not like I have a trinket to represent that necessarily. I could have, I guess. Like, when they passed, I could have taken one of their things or whatever, but I have lots of memories and photos to remember them by, so I don't feel like I necessarily need those things. I have a knife sharpener that was my grandpa's, but beyond that, I don't have a lot of those things. And so I didn't really have to grapple with that. But when people do have to grapple with that, I think it's important to remember that the sentimental thing isn't the point of it. It's the sentiment lives in the memory that sentimental thing sort of elicits in your mind. So you can still have those memories and still reach back to those people or those times without the thing if you just have photos or whatever. Right?
For sure.
But I understand how that could be really difficult.
I had a bunch of really fun soccer t-shirts at one time, and I laid them out and took pictures of them one by one because I never wore them. And I don't know where those pictures are now, and I don't know where those t-shirts are, but it helped me get rid of them, knowing that I could look at them and remember them that way. Everybody takes pictures now. And we're going to talk about minimizing technology too, because we were kind of talking before this that Marie Kondo, in her methods, she has a category for paper. And I always found that a little confusing because I don't have phone books and bills and I don't have much paper, but we have so much technology that can really clutter us up. But kind of some of the major topics that we wanted to break down and talk about our favorites in each are technology, clothing, books, and tools. Should we start with clothing?
Sure. I mean, whatever. I don't care. I don't think any of them are like more important than others necessarily.
I think technology will be kind of the most interesting, so let's save that for last.
For us to talk about. I don't know if other people care. But.
Yeah.
So clothing.
Clothing, as we said, merino wool is big.
Why?
Big.
I think we kind of gloss over that and a lot of people don't understand it.
It's antimicrobial, so the wool fibers don't absorb and cling to bacteria in the same way that other materials do. So that doesn't then turn into stink. Not at least as easily. It's a natural fiber and just you can wear it for several days in a row without it getting stinky.
Yeah, even on backpacking trips or whatever, if you wear the merino thing and it does get gnarly, you can just hang it up outside in the sun or in the wind, and then it generally will lose that sort of funk.
You know what you got to look out for, though, is...
Deodorant?
Companies...
Antiperspirant deodorant would always jack mine up back in the day when
Really?
I wore that. Yeah.
Companies that are advertising clothes as merino, then the merino only being about 5% of that item and like nylon and other plastic fibers being the rest of it. There is definitely, for the elasticity, it needs to have some elastic and other types of blends in the merino. But look out for that when you're choosing merino wool clothing, because I think that a lot of people get duped thinking that they've got a wool item when it's really just nylon.
Like 5% wool.
Yeah.
What brands have you found to be?
Smart Wool, Icebreaker.
I think Icebreaker over Smart Wool. Some of
Really?
my Smart Wool stuff has really fallen apart quick.
Yeah. Maybe it's because it's got more wool.
I don't know.
I have a bunch of, like, I bought some thrifted smart wool that I still have. My icebreaker merino tee has held up for almost 10 years, probably 8 though.
Probably 8.
It's got a big hole in the back, but that's what happens with merino is it's really delicate. And we have to dry our clothes, especially in the winter. We have to, at the laundromat, we have to put it in the dryer because it will all just freeze and never dry.
We put it on low though.
Yeah,
and we try to not put like zippers and everything in with the
but we
merino
do.
stuff.
We
Yeah.
definitely do.
But
We
it's
are
better
not
to
very
not.
good with our laundry because we can't be.
Yeah. But if you can not dry your stuff and just hang dry it, that's the best.
Definitely. And you just got some merino for the first time from Fjall.
Yeah, and I'm impressed with it. I'm wearing that right now, and it is really nice.
They have other wool.
Why do we wear so much Fjallraven stuff now?
It's one of the most... Okay, so just clothing in general, we learned quickly that we cannot have our cute little H&M shirts and pants and things like that because it just falls apart. You can't have crappy clothes with you that stink and fall apart because you only have so much room. So we quickly learned to buy more gear clothing out at these thrift stores in Colorado. We bought a lot of Patagonia, some Prana, and then as we were...
Like Outdoor Research, Mountain Hardware, all the
I'm
different
probably forgetting a ton of them.
gear-oriented brands.
But as we were just entering that kind of arena, Fjallraven was a big one that always came up. A lot of bushcrafters and guys who spend a ton of time outside doing really crazy things, just like trudging through the woods, wore this brand. It's a Swedish brand.
We saw their pants first. Mm-hmm. And their little Konkin backpacks. And it's expensive stuff. Like, you definitely pay for it. But it's built so well. And they have a lifetime warranty where you can take your gear into their store. And most of their stores have a seamstress or sewer. I don't know what to call them. But they have somebody to fix your gear on the spot so they can repair your gear for you.
It's also one of the most sustainable companies out there, especially for its size. We bought a lot from Patagonia because they had really good principles for a long time. They're huge now, and I think it's kind of different. But I think they still do their best, and they have a worn wear program where you can buy used clothes that they've fixed or like that they didn't need to fix.
I wish that Fjallraven had that.
For sure.
Their Patagonia's worn wear, you can look them up. Their worn wear site, it's like if somebody had a jacket that was lightly used and like they sold it back or gave it back to Patagonia, then they can list it. And it's so nice. You can get like really great deals on lots of gear.
It's really cool because then you can make money off of your old gear too. Mm-hmm. Fjallraven, you can, I think most of their wool is traceable. You can see what farm it started on. You can see where things were created, and they just try to source as well as they can. We just went to an event with them and they explained all this, and I asked, because some of you guys were asking, why are their clothes ethical yet still made in Vietnam?
Or China.
Yeah, other Asian countries. And they answered that by saying that if they were to go and take all of these materials and processes and people and move that to Sweden, it would be a lot more expensive. And also they don't have the establishments set up for that in Sweden. This kind of work is just done in Asian countries. But they said that what they do is they focus on from like people who are working in their American stores to people who are creating their clothes. They have the same kind of ethics and guidelines that they all follow. So from top to bottom, sourcing to creating to selling to sellers in their stores, they do their best to treat the people right. And I would even argue that they do their best to treat the animals right. Mm-hmm. Like for their down stuff, they said that they only use geese who are not stressed because that impacts the quality of their down. They use wool from animals, like materials from animals that were going to...
Like good farms, and everything is sourced like as ethically as possible. And it's like you could make like synthetic downs replacements are becoming a thing now because they're cruelty free or whatever. You don't have to kill an animal for those. But nature, in a lot of ways, I would argue almost every of the ways, makes like does things more efficiently and better than we can replicate a lot of times.
Well, and then you also have to consider that with synthetic replacements, you are then creating basically plastic clothing
Right.
that's not biodegradable.
Not renewable. It's like oil based.
Right. And so there's always a balance. But if you could have a wool sweater that's sourced as well as it can be and made to last with a company who will then like fix it on the spot if it does get a tear in it or something, I would say that that will go a lot further for you than a cheaply made piece of clothing that
like
you have
polypropylene piece.
Yeah,
it's
that
like
you have
vegan,
to buy over and over again.
but it's made out of dead dinosaurs. It's like there's lots of nuance to this conversation. I think a lot of that is lost because a lot of the sort of green marketing is marketing. So it's easy to make a case for like whichever side you're arguing for. I can make just about as good of a case for whatever, except when it comes to like, I don't know, really cheaply made stuff that'll just fall apart and then be trash quickly.
Yeah, because there are cases where you would say, I would buy synthetic over something else because it would last me a lot longer.
Like the Melanzana hoodies or rain jackets. But even with rain jackets, you can do like a canvas, wax canvas. But our Melanzana hoodies, I think that's one of the most useful items that we have as far as clothing goes. It's a company in Leadville makes them, and they're called Melanzana. I mean, they're already there,
Yeah,
so
they're
we
pretty
might as well
popular.
talk about it.
It's something you can't, with COVID, you can't go buy one at the store. You have to make an appointment. Which
I don't know if that's
sucks.
still a thing, but it was for a long time.
As of last week on their site, they made it very clear that it's appointment only.
Okay.
But when it was kind of crazy because we were in Oregon and they sent out this email blast saying that they were doing online ordering. And it was so nice because we were in Oregon and we got new Mellies.
But they normally just sell them through their store. And they have all of their people making everything in their store, which is really cool. You can sit there and watch. They have a bunch of sewing machines set up. And their stuff is just awesome. I think it's one of the best mid layers that I've found.
Nice little hoodie, like hood on it, nice pocket.
What about books? Are you cool on clothing? I can't really think of much else.
Just anything really Fjallraven is epic, and it's not.
It's so expensive, though.
Yeah, and we're not saying that because now we're trying to establish a relationship with them, and we would be really grateful if that could happen, and we're kind of like in the process of making it happen. But we bought everything from them. We
mostly used, like we thrifted some of it. We got a lot of it at outlet stores.
But I don't think we thrifted any of it. I think most of it's outlet.
Yeah, most of it's outlet.
Because it's kind of hard to find thrifted because it's such high quality gear.
But there's an outlet store in Castle Rock, Colorado, and one in Portland that I'm aware of.
But we're trying, I'm not just touting them because we have a relationship. We're trying to make that happen because we love their clothes so much.
Yeah.
So that's a very honest
endorsement.
Yes.
Yeah. That's why we're trying to work with them, though, is because their stuff makes a lot of sense.
Onto books. We didn't really read a ton of books before moving into the Scamp.
I feel like I didn't have time.
Yeah, for sure.
Like whenever I could sit down and read a book, it was like, well, this time would be better spent doing something
for sure
else.
And we learned quickly that with time, books are really nice. You can learn from them. They are just really engaging and fun when you have a good story. And we started collecting a ton of ebooks on our iPads.
And when I first started really reading, one thing, Naval Ravikant, if you're not familiar, he has a number of interviews with Tim Ferriss, but he talked about reading just for enjoyment and like popping into books and getting out. Like you don't have to read a book cover to cover. And if you are reading a book and it sucks, you can stop reading that book and not feel guilty. But what I would do is I would get stuck reading a book. And then anytime I wanted to read, I would be like, well, I don't want to read this book that I'm reading. So then I wouldn't read at all. So what helped me is to start to like have multiple books going and treat them like channels on a television where it's like, oh, I want to read about, nonfiction, or I want to get back into that story that I was reading or whatever. And that really helped me. That and then stretching while I read was really useful too. Because then if I wasn't retaining information, it's like, well, at least I'm getting a good stretch in too. So if you don't read much and want to, those things help me a lot.
Audiobooks too are so huge. It took me so long to get an Audible account.
Well, it's so expensive, or it feels like it is.
Yeah.
But for the amount of time that I spend listening to audiobooks now, I wouldn't trade my Audible subscription for.
Well, and now they do. I mean, I feel like they doubled their price. It used to be something like $8, and now it's like $15 a month. But now they give you options for free books, and I have used a lot of the free books.
Yeah, they actually have some really good ones.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be fun. We've done it in the past, talked about books, but it would be cool to. I think it'd be really fun to talk about books and music in a podcast coming up. So if that's interesting to you,
And the one thing with music is that we can't play any of the music.
Yeah, that sucks, huh?
Yes.
But yeah, as far as books go, we generally where we always have, as we've lived in the Scamp, we've read them on our iPads. And there are different ways that you can get like library tools, but you can also find ebooks for pretty cheap or find them on the internet. So that's nice. But I feel like my ebook library is pretty extensive. Whereas if I was collecting physical books, it's just so much harder to keep track of them. And once we get our house done, I feel like we'll have a pretty extensive library.
Oh yeah, that's what I was just gonna say.
But-
You can't replace reading a book.
Yeah.
I like to see where I'm at in the book. I do like to turn the pages, and
I got a ebook, or like an e-reader in the last few years, and that has been wonderful too. Because the iPad works great, and it's such a multi-purpose tool. Like I used my iPad for everything for a long time when we were limited on solar, especially. But having the e-reader, it's an e-ink display. I wouldn't get one of the color e-readers because the beauty of the e-ink is that you can read them outside and they're not reflective or anything. You can dim it down really low, and I've just found that to be wonderful. It's as close to reading an actual book as you can get. And mine's made by Kobo, so I don't have to buy them all through Amazon, all my ebooks. I can buy them through other sources and then just bring the EPUB in and read that.
let's jump into tools quick, because now we're approaching an hour long. Sometimes I just feel like we could talk forever.
Essential tools. I don't know. Do you have any essential tools that you think
No,
of?
this is your department.
I like having a full set of, or I don't know, crescent wrenches are super useful, like needle nose pliers, clearly. A full set of, I'm like blanking what they're called, like hexes.
Your tools that you just bought that are all interchangeable batteries.
Yeah, we went with Ryobi because they have a lot. I don't know. You could argue that Milwaukee or DeWalt or
Might be higher quality.
maybe, yeah. But Ryobi's really kicked up their quality, and their batteries, you can use their old batteries for new tools, and they try to keep that. So whenever you have a stock of batteries, their tools are actually pretty inexpensive. So that's worked out great. And especially since we're not like contractors, we don't use our tools all that much. But yeah, that's been good. I'm trying to think of things for like as far as minimalist items go that I would definitely keep in the car. Roll of duct tape and zip ties and a jumper box. Like I like to keep both a battery jumper box so you can jump your own car, and then also a set of jumper cables in case you have somebody nearby or somebody needs jumper cables.
I feel like everybody should have jumper cables.
Yeah. Traction boards also when you're spending a lot of time in the backcountry. Like Max Trax makes the best ones, but the cheaper versions, if you're not using them all the time, are probably fine. That's what we have, a cheaper set. Beyond that, I don't know. I could talk about tools forever.
Well, then maybe we should move on to technology.
Yeah, maybe tools should be like its own thing.
The space.
Like a gear-oriented
Should make a
podcast would be cool.
blog post about it.
I did a long time ago. Yeah, it's in my
Well, there you
book. So, technology. You want to start?
Yes. As we all know, there are so many ways that you can just get plugged into your phone for hours and hours and hours. And something that, because we work on social media, so we get notifications constantly, emails, messages, comments constantly. So something that I did a long time ago is I turned off all notifications, obviously, so I never get a little bubble on the
like
apps.
the badges, I
Yeah.
think they call them.
My phone never tells me when I get any social media notifications. And then within the last year, I've also turned off all notifications for text messages, because anytime that I'd get a text and I'd see my phone light up or something, I would just automatically check it. And now I will answer my texts when I am prepared to answer texts, and then I'm not bothered by them. And there's no urgency. If there is urgency, you get a phone call, and that's the only thing on my phone that will send me notifications. And I feel like by doing this, it has really improved the kind of distraction that my phone is at least when I'm not distracted by my phone, it doesn't do anything in the distance to distract me unless I get a phone call, which seems to be rare.
The only notifications I have turned on I still have text messages turned on because I probably get less than you. And I have Patreon messages turned on, so it won't like alert me, but I'll get a badge. So if I'm looking in my social media folder on my phone, I'll see that I have a notification from Patreon, because I try to get back to those really quick. And same with Discord. But like Instagram, I don't have Facebook on my phone. I hardly even log into Facebook ever. I just feel like it's not
what it
entirely
used to
useful.
be for people.
The only thing that is useful for it that like I haven't deleted my account is for Marketplace, because it's like a really, I don't know, more trustworthy Craigslist and easier to search and everything.
For sure. It also has all my old photos on it that I haven't gone and taken off. It's really fun to get that.
Like memories.
Yes, that's really fun. But I only have Facebook on my computer, so that's been nice.
I also, on my phone, I think I can just show you. You can kind of see it here, but I just have one page of apps, and I group all the similar apps in folders, and I use emojis to represent like what the folder consists of. I think that kind of cleans up the like visual of it, not having so much text on your homepage. And then the apps that I like use most often, and the apps that I want to encourage myself to use, I have as like a standalone icon. They're not in a folder. So like Audible, Spotify, Overcast is my podcast app, Onyx, which is the like hunting and outdoor navigation app, and then Bear is where I keep all of my writing stuff. I used Things for a while to keep track of all of my like to-do list, but I need to like restart with it because I got it too cluttered. So now I just use Bear as my to-do list as well. But
deleting unused apps is something that I tend not to do on my iPad, because when I download a new app for whatever reason, it then goes to my iPad through iCloud, and I will sometimes get on my iPad and just be like, oh my gosh, what? But I make sure to delete apps if I have downloaded it and don't end up using it like I thought I would. I always delete them.
Yeah, me too. And then I think email is one of the most stressful things.
Yeah.
So back, I don't know, a few years ago, Google sunset their Inbox app, which was the best email app that I've ever used.
It was called Inbox?
It was called Inbox, and it just made it so easy to like stay ahead of all of your emails, and it grouped all your promotions and all your like emails, and then you could really make your inbox into a to-do list, which was really nice. I'm surprised somebody hasn't like swag jacked them and come up with the same thing, but I haven't found a good email app, so I've tried a bunch of them, and now I just use Gmail again. But I've gotten my inbox to be 0. So what you can do is with Gmail, and I'm sure it's the same with most other email apps or providers, you can archive your old emails. So they're still searchable. You can still find...
You're not deleting them.
Right. You can still find them if you need information from them or whatever, but I archive all of my old emails and then delete the ones with big attachments and stuff so they're not taking up space. But I stay at inbox 0. And then it took a while, and there are unsubscribe me, I think is one. But
what is that?
Inbox 0 is when you don't have like for me, it's not having any emails in my like inbox that aren't pertinent.
That is crazy. I feel like people have thousands of emails
Right.
in their inbox.
But and it's easy to get rid of that though, because you can just archive, like mark the ones as important that you want to keep, and then just archive all the rest of them. and then you can still access them if you need to. They're not like gone forever. But yeah, I think that's super helpful to stay like uncluttered. And then they have apps that you can sign up for or use to unsubscribe from all the different things that you've been subscribed to throughout the years. And then I'm like pretty habitual with it. If I get a newsletter or like some kind of like promotion email that I don't want, then I immediately click unsubscribe and like get rid of those, so I don't get very many promotional emails or like crap emails anymore.
I don't know if it's true, but I saw that for all those companies who have server space to have these giant email lists of people, that takes a lot of power to power those servers. So if you want to do something good for the planet, it's so weird. It's hard to kind of make sense of, but unsubscribe yourself from all these email lists. I guess
mean,
if you did it in bulk.
Yeah, it's pretty.
If people did it in bulk,
Yeah.
everybody did it, then it might make a difference.
That's kind of like one of the gripes with cryptocurrency too. That would be a fun podcast to dig into eventually, but that's a derailment. But anything else as far as like minimizing your social or your, I don't know, social media and stuff? The inbox zero thing is the most, because like I said, I hate clutter. So then having all that cleared out, and then all of my emails that are in my inbox are ones that are like I'm working on.
On Instagram, I make sure to always, I'm very constantly unfollowing accounts. I try to keep my following up under 350 channels, because if I am seeing something that isn't really producing high quality thoughts in my brain, it just isn't worth it to have. Or if it's, there's some like Jerry of the Day, just snowboarding and skiing mess
like
ups
fails.
that makes me, it does raise the quality of my day for sure. But it doesn't like bring me very much intelligence. But I try to have a grip on that to help me spend less time on Instagram. And that seems self-explanatory, but
I don't know. I could be better at that too. I just feel bad like unfollowing people.
yeah,
If they see that, then it's like, why'd you do that? And it's not anything personal. It's
No,
just that I'm
never.
trying to like clear.
and I've had that
Clear it out.
conversation with people too about why don't you follow me anymore? But also there's just like, I unfollowed all makeup accounts after I was kind of done with makeup, because I was getting negative thoughts when I would see people doing makeup of like, why am I not doing that anymore? Have I messed up? Have I made the wrong decision? Different self-critical things. So I unfollowed anybody who would give me those negative thoughts, and that helped me get over it and get past it and get into new crafts. And I had to unfollow all these metalsmiths because I just wanted to do it so bad years and years ago.
Now
Had to
you're
unfollow.
refollowing all of them.
Yes, now I have this kind of weird obsession with purchasing stones, and they are always selling stones, so I'm going to have to take a look at that and get that under control. I just love crafting. It's so much fun. But we are keeping tabs on it.
Yeah, we're doing great. If you want to talk more about minimalism, or you're starting your own minimalist journey, you can pop into our Discord, and there are lots of people on there that are super helpful, and we'll be in there too. If you ever at me on Discord, I'll definitely jump in and see what's up.
And if you're listening to this on a podcast app, if you could do us a favor and give us a 5-star review and tell us why you like the podcast, that would really help us out. I just saw that we are top 40 in the US of travel podcasts. And for how many podcasts are out there, I think that that's really cool.
Yeah. And on the YouTube video, it always helps too to hit the like button. We don't like smash the like button and don't forget to hit the bell. We don't say that every time because I think it's just kind of annoying, but it always helps to do that. So do that if you don't mind.
We really appreciate it.
Yeah. Is that all?
I mean, we could talk forever, but
Yeah.
maybe we'll continue it in the comments. If you have anything to say, leave it in the comments and Discord or on YouTube. And
Yeah.
thanks
Cool.
for watching, and thanks for listening. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.